Sanders grills RFK Jr., the guy who said he wants to make America healthy again, on whether he views healthcare as a human right. How can you claim you want to make America healthy again?
Agree with me that the United States join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people as a human right. Yes? No?
Senator, I can't give you a yes or no answer to that question.
When you support Americans going bankrupt because they can't afford the insane cost of healthcare in this country. RFK Jr. and Donald Trump be like, make America healthy again, except the poor and the working class. They can go fuck themselves. With that said, where the fuck was this energy from Bernie directed at genocide Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, who also don't support healthcare as a human right? Genocide Joe Biden hates the idea of poor and working class people getting health care so much. He said that if Medicare for All miraculously passed the House and the Senate, that he would veto it. This is the guy that Bernie Sanders endorsed for president and campaigned for in multiple states. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders never challenged Jim Crow Joe on his position on healthcare, despite the fact that we was in the middle of a pandemic. There were Medicare for All marches in 50 cities, including where I gave a speech in Kansas City. Not only did Bernie Sanders not show up, he couldn't even be bothered to tweet about it. Yes, Bernie Sanders didn't support Medicare for All rallies because it would have made his president, Joe Biden, look bad. People actually underestimate how much of a scumbag Bernie Sanders actually is. Bernie Sanders, AOC, and progressives play with our lives. They only care about stuff. They are only willing to fight for stuff when a Republican is in charge. This dynamic of liberals and progressives only caring about stuff when a Republican is in charge and going to sleep when Democrats are in charge is exactly why Democrats are the most effective evil. Donald Trump just announced that he's applying a 100% tariff on BRICS countries that are pursuing de-dollarization. More evidence that the rise of BRICS have Western capitalists in complete panic mode. Hey, Donald Trump and MAGA, you guys understand that BRICS composes of 4 billion people and have an economy that is larger than the G7. Donald Trump and MAGA, what are you doing? This is going to lead to sky-high inflation when the majority of the American people voted for Donald Trump because he said he's going to bring prices down. The United States under Donald Trump is already putting tariffs on close U.S. allies and our largest trading partners like Mexico and Canada. So let me get this straight. Not only is Donald Trump threatening tariffs on the global majority who wants to pursue de-dollarization, he's also putting tariffs on his friends too and U.S. collaborators because fuck it, why not? MAGA is blatantly ignoring why countries are pursuing de-dollarization in the first place. It's because the United States weaponization of the U.S. dollar and tariffs. The dumbasses in MAGA don't even realize that these policies is exactly why countries want to join China's sphere of influence, and they're only going to make BRICS even stronger. The rise of BRICS have the United States ruling class in shambles, and they have no idea how to deal with it. It's going to be hilarious watching Donald Trump tank United States influence worse than genocide Joe Biden. What's poppin'? My friends, my family, welcome. We are back. My internet kind of struggling, man. I'm kind of scared about that. But what's poppin'? We are back, RBN. Welcome, my friends, my family. It's been very interesting watching the beginning of the Trump years, or Trump 2.0, as they calling it. And it should remind everyone how both the red team and the blue team engage in the same culture war nonsense in order to deflect from the failures of the ruling class. Now we have Trump that he's going to be worse than Biden when this is all said and done based on his policies. based on the fact that he want to escalate against China, the fact that he want to put tariffs on 4 billion people. And this is because BRICS had a summit where they openly said, yeah, our goal is to achieve de-dollarization. Now, it's going to take longer than a lot of people think it would. There's a lot to prepare for, and the United States do have a lot of influence. But as I explained in my hotspot video, MAGA's policy, they still believe that we live in the 1990s and early 2000s, where you can have America swing their dick around and no one can do anything about it. The only thing that Donald Trump is accomplishing is driving BRIC countries together, increasing China's sphere of influence. That's why you have China and India that came to a border agreement for the first time in years, and they are now establishing friendly relationships after tension between India and China. So, and they are doing this, preparing for Donald Trump. Let me see if I can find this article, because I was about to include that in my hotspot, but I didn't have time. Like India and China, look at this. Look at this dumb shit that Donald Trump is doing. MAGA have no idea what they're doing. I just now saw this. This is exactly why that China and India is coming to agreement and they are becoming closer than ever. This is exactly why countries are swarming toward China. And this is going to be a disaster because Republicans ran on decreasing prices. Meanwhile, you have Donald Trump that's going to have a policy that's going to lead to a boom in inflation. Donald Trump is threatening to sanction Mexico, Canada. So he's threatening to tariff his friends. My friends. He's threatening to tariff our friends. Not only is he tariffing our friends, he is also tariffing our enemies. You guys understand, this is exactly why China and India is making up. This is exactly why Saudi Arabia and Iran are now establishing peace with each other. Because American belligerence and the expectation that Donald Trump will be back and that the U.S. foreign policy doesn't really change between empires. But Donald Trump is really trying to speed run this de-dollarization shit. And what's sad about this, because I've been destroying MAGA ever since the beginning of the Trump administration because they thought I was our friends. And it's also been very interesting. Big props to the MAGA people who still follow me because I get a lot of feedback from them. But they're like, damn, you're right here. Or they will try to put back at me. Good for them, following the black Marxist communists, whatever. But I've also been going to war with these people because we're in the same pattern where Democrats were the snowflakes the last 4 years. Now MAGA the snowflakes, going after Whitney Webb, going after anyone that's shining light of the corruption of Donald Trump. But as this is going on, and as I can rant about the incoherence of MAGA and their policies, and I'm sparing you guys because I already covered the RFK Bernie thing. I've been destroying the Make America Healthy Again movement on Twitter. Just because how are you going to say you support Make America Healthy Again, but you are telling people with cancer to go fuck themselves? You're telling poor and working class people to go fuck themselves. Someone explain to me how your entire grip hasn't been exposed from that. Most conservatives was okay with the idea of Americans being provided health care during the COVID pandemic. Why do you guys think that is? Because their mindset was, if you catch COVID, it's not your fault. So it's one of the few exceptions that we will give you. Because if you catch COVID, that's not your fault. So we're going to pay for that. And they was okay with that. So how is it the fault of someone who catches cancer based on that logic? How is it the fault of someone who got a deadly illness? Because conservatives on the same time, they'll say, liberals, they exaggerated how deadly COVID is. Don't you know COVID is just a flu? It's just a cough. So based on that logic, why do you provide health care for a disease you say is not a big deal, but you won't provide health care for people who have illnesses, who have deadly illnesses? And this is going based on your logic, correct? And now they're rewriting human history. They pretend that healthcare is something that we just now as the left discussing as something that is a human right. Let's see if I can find my tweet where I went after Thomas Massey for this. This is why I've never been on the Thomas Massey train, just because he had common sense solutions to foreign policy. Don't mean he's good for the working class. He's the enemy of the working class. He cheers on Big Pharma ripping Americans off. Here's Thomas Massey. Liberals who talk about rights like this are assuming you have sub 90 IQ. You don't have the right to take stuff from people or a right to make them provide a service. Do you have a right to food, healthcare services, or housing another person craves? Of course not. And this here why I don't fuck with libertarians. They just advocating for feudalism. In this society where you are created rich because of the security that this society provides, you 100% have a social contract that you must follow. If you are a doctor and you don't want to treat the sick, then too bad. You shouldn't be a doctor. And most doctors believe in this. Majority of doctors work in a single-payer healthcare system. Because under a single-payer healthcare system, to show how dumb libertarians are, they'll say, yo, you're a slave if you work in a single-payer healthcare system. The only difference, you guys understand that single-payer and Medicare for all is nationalizing the insurance model. You understand that, right? So what happens in America is the doctors spend all their time going through insurance phone calls that waste their time. They got to get your card to make sure your insurance good. The only difference is the doctor is doing the same fucking job. The only difference is they got a card that the rich pay for our health care under a progressive tax system where the rich, the filthy rich, they pay for the taxpayer. They pay for the health care of the proletariat because they are benefiting from our labor. They are benefiting from the security of our society. So it's free at the point of service for the working class, which is what majority of societies agree to. 95% of doctors and healthcare professionals support single payer. Majority of healthcare professionals in the United States support single payer. So these dipshit libertarians, they say, oh my God, single payer is slavery. Then why do majority of doctors support it, dipshit? Because they don't like dealing with insurance. Because a real doctor want to treat the sick. They don't want insurance to get in the way of treating the sick. When there was the Black Plague, they didn't go to people and say, oh, do you got insurance? Universal health care is something that goes back thousands of years, especially among indigenous, Black and brown cultures. They provided free health care in London forever, even among the white peasants who only had a life expectancy of 25. To show you guys how unsophisticated libertarians are, there is historic evidence that shows that Neanderthals, this is recently discovered. You guys know I'm a big fan of history. I've been very into the history of early societies. I've been very interested in the history of early humanity and how we engage with Neanderthals. It's very, very interesting. You guys know I'm a history nerd before I was into politics. And you guys know that it was recently discovered that there is evidence that Neanderthals provided health care to people who was otherwise too elderly or too sick to contribute to the tribe in hunting. It's the earliest form of single-payer healthcare that ever existed. So before, we thought that, oh, if you can't hunt, if you can't provide anything in Neanderthal societies, they just let you die. Now it's proven that is not the case. There's shown evidence of disabled Neanderthals who couldn't possibly be contributive to society being provided healthcare. So do you understand what happened here? We have Neanderthals who are more sophisticated than Thomas Massey. Neanderthals have a more sophisticated form of empathy and the social contract than libertarians do. How crazy. That's how far behind you guys are. That's how much you guys want to roll us back. Even under feudalism, there were societies that realized that it's better to provide health care because they don't want to have a society full of sick people. But of course, libertarians, their central planning model is so fucking stupid, they want to have a society full of sick workers. where people can't take risk and create business because they're too worried about their healthcare costs. This is why study after study show that Medicare for all saves money. They don't give a fuck if they save money. They want to spend more money. Why? Because they want to serve big pharma CEOs, healthcare insurance capitalists. That's who Thomas Massey is on the side of. That's who RFK Jr. is on the side of. That's what Make America Healthy is on the side of. They're on the side of the capitalist class that exploit the sick working class. And they decided that Make America Healthy Again was a great slogan, and they continue to pull that off. And you guys see how easy it is for me, and I've been doing it all over X. That's why that's why shows shadow ban me. That's why you not see me on debate shows. Piers Morgan scared as fuck as me. They all these people terrified. They saw what I did to Destiny. They saw what I did to Robbie. You guys saw what I did to Ro Connor. These people are lightweights. We are educated by the proletariat and the theory of the proletariat. The bullshit that the red team and the blue team believe is nothing to us. We are prepared. That's why they are terrified of me, fam. That's why you're not seeing them invite. I got 150,000 followers on X. You see someone from Piers Morgan who have way less followers than me. And this is not a brag. I'm making a point, guys. I'm not bragging. It's a point I'm making. They want to pretend they don't know who I am. You know why? And I take it as it's something I take as a compliment. Piers Morgan don't invite me on because they rather have Cenk Uygur, a dumb leftist, on. They rather have some dumb fuck Democrat to talk to, which shows the role of the social democrat. Which is why RFK Jr. is clapping Bernie Sanders, libertarians clapping Bernie Sanders because they can't even fucking challenge MAGA. There is no effective resistance. There is no effective opposition to MAGA. The plan of the Democratic Party to resist MAGA is to embrace neoliberalism. The plan of liberals to fight against MAGA is to embrace neoliberalism and defend Israel even more. To defend illegal NSA spying. Ooh. And now, as the opposition, you want to know what the Democrats are doing to oppose Trump? In order to oppose Trump, Democrats are freaking out and losing their mind at Tulsi Gabbard at the one fucking base position she has. There's so many things you can attack Tulsi the grifter Gabbard for. She literally a Zionist sellout. She usually flipped on her principles on a dime, which shows she's not reliable. She's an agent of the highest bidder. She's an imperialist. Like, there's so many things you go after Tulsi Gabbard after. But the Democratic Party is going after Tulsi Gabbard because she defended Edward Snowden. Because Edward Snowden exposed illegal NSA intelligence agency spying that was a direct violation of the Fourth Amendment. So the toxic, disgusting form of patriotism that comes from the Democratic Party and liberals, they believe in the same thing as MAGA as well. They believe you're a patriot if you defend the corruption of the government. It's literally the most disgusting, insane ideology known to man. It's Western liberal patriotism. You've seen the entirety of the Democratic Party saying, Tulsi, do you believe that Edward Snowden is a traitor? Because Edward Snowden exposed the corruption of our government. So if you're not cheering on the corruption of our government, if you're not cheering on the war crimes of the United States, they consider you a traitor. Now you guys see why I've been adjusting how I've been going at how I've described patriotism, how we gotta take that shit back as well. I agree with my brothers at Midwestern Marbs, Eddie Liger and them, because to me, the height of patriotism is making sure your government isn't full of criminals. The height of patriotism is making sure your government is working for you and staying within the law. Upholding the values that will make humanity proud. Upholding the values that will make your children and your family proud to live in the country. That is what patriotism is. The idea that you cheer for corruption and you think that makes you a patriot, you are a goof. Who is this for? Who the fuck is this for? And the Democrats are wondering why they're historically unpopular. Ro Khanna goes on our channel, and he wondered why I would never vote for a Democrat again in my entire life. They believe that patriotism is defending corruption.
As the chairman of this committee believes, as the vast majority of members of our intelligence agencies believe, that Edward Snowden was a traitor to the United States of America.
Senator, if confirmed
This
as
is when the
Director of
rubber hits
National
the road.
Intelligence,
This is
I
when
will
this
work
is not
with you to make sure
this
that
is
there is
not
not
a
another
moment for
Snowden like
social
leak.
media. It's not a moment to propagate theories, conspiracy theories, or attacks on journalism in the United States. This is when you need to answer the questions of the people whose votes you're asking for to be confirmed as the chief intelligence officer of this nation. As my colleague said, this is not about you. It's about the people that serve the intelligence agencies of the United States. Is Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America?
Once again, who is this for? Ro Khanna, Bernie Sanders, who is this for? This is your party. You not embarrassed, DSA, to be in coalition with these absolute psychopaths who are calling people traitors simply because they're exposing the corruption in your government, which I would say is the height of patriotism? The height of patriotism is exposing evil in your government. It's easy to be a cheerleader. Oh, Putin is bad. Putin is bad. Xi Jinping is bad. Let's ignore the fact that Congress has a 13% approval rating. Putin is bad. That's easy. Grow up. You're still a child. Treating politics like a team game. And that's the majority of Americans. If you truly care about your people and having your country live and stand for the ideals in which it presents itself, you hold corrupt assholes in the intelligence agencies accountable. You hold Michael Bennett, this motherfucker, accountable. You hold the intelligence agencies accountable. You guys see how liberalism wants us to be loyal to the intelligence agencies instead of the other way around? Meanwhile, you got dipshits like Hassan Piker, Bernie Sanders, and them that still presents the Democratic Party as a lesser evil. But you guys see, when you decolonize your mind, you really see how fucking awful these people are. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable the toxic morality these people have. If you don't cheerlead war crimes, this is what Democrats and Republicans believe. If you don't cheerlead the war crimes of Israel, you're a traitor. If you're advocating for us to implement Leahy's law and follow international law, which was meant to make genocide never happen again, they say you're a traitor. You guys say I'm going too hard. I'm losing my voice already. Yeah, you know, it's been a while since I did a solo show. This is a rare Nick solo show. I'm already fired up. I need to go solo sometimes because sometimes you gotta go off in the stream, you know. When I have an interview, I gotta stay somewhat calm. I gotta ask questions. Sometimes you gotta do a solo stream where you just go the fuck off. Hope you guys enjoy. Please like, subscribe. We have 800 people watching on X and YouTube right now, which is nice. Make sure you support us on Patreon as well. That helps support our channel. My goal is, can we get 50 pledges on Patreon for $3? Help me out with my rent, my move, all that kind of stuff. We definitely need it. And I gotta advise. Have to advise. I gotta be very careful what I say here. I talked to Rome recently. We got good news. So I'm gonna just tease we got good news, but I don't want to say that much. You guys know I've been very, very careful about what we say publicly. But I think we got some good news, which we will announce very soon. So that's why I'm very fired up, very happy today. So let's continue this. This is Michael Bennett's. That's this dude's name? Something. I don't give a fuck. Let's finish versus clip. Let's see how Tulsi respond. Let me know how the stream is running. I got this new place and my internet is not to the tier I want it to be. So let me know if there's any problem. It may buffer a little bit, but let's continue.
of the United States. Is Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America? That is not a hard question to answer when the stakes are this high.
Senator, as someone who has
your
served
answer,
in
yes
uniform,
or no, is Edward Snowden a traitor to the United States of America?
as someone who has
I'll go on
worn
to
our
my
uniform
questions.
in
This
combat,
it-
I understand how critical our national security
Apparently
is.
you don't. Apparently you don't. Let me ask you. I've worked.
This fucking neocon surfer bro dude. Like, he's unhinged. Hey, bro, do you think Edward Snowden is a traitor, bro? Why you talk like that, dude? I know I'm not. I can't talk shit because I talk weird too. But hey, I talk weird so I can make fun of other people who talk weird. Hey, do you think Edward Snowden is a traitor, dude? Why you talk like that? It gets worse because I think that was probably one of the funniest meltdowns. But this is the messaging that's coming from the Democratic Party. That wasn't a one-off. That wasn't a one-off show. This is the messaging coming from the Democratic Party and their coordinated media apparatus. Here is CNN literally thinking that Democratic senators did the best thing ever by defending the intelligence agencies. And Democrats wondering why they are fucking so unbelievably unpopular. This is why. So let's play a little bit of this segment. We just here to laugh together, have some fun. Let's watch a little bit of this. Hopefully it runs smoothly. Maybe I can read some chats if it start messing up, but let's continue. You gotta know I'm a citizen journalist. I'm doing something. I had no production crew. That's why if you want to support my show, help me upgrade my internet. Patreon is the way to go, my friends. Anyway, let's continue.
Capitol Hill today for hearings that could make or break their nominations, though Republicans have largely lined up. One was Kash Patel, tapped to lead the FBI. Democrats laid into him on a number of his past statements, including a list of so-called deep state officials in his book, and saying the FBI should go after, including arresting members of the media. Here's that exchange.
And here's what this nominee himself has said about using his office to prosecute journalists. We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. We're gonna come after you, whether it's criminally or civilly.
You know what's funny about this is everything they accuse Kash Patel of wanting to do is exactly what Joe Biden did. Remember, Joe Biden tried to lock Sherman Amali up. He was stopped by the courts. Joe Biden that was allowing Israel to murder Palestinian journalists like Shireen Abdul-Akleh. They're enabling the UK crackdown on journalism, going after Richard Medders. You have Ukraine murdering American journalists like Gonzalo Lira. Americans, the Ukrainian regime murdered, and they let them get away with it. And this is why Democrats are very effective and they're very evil. They only give a fuck about this when the Republicans in charge. And even then, they still kind of don't. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know that much about Kash Patel, but I think the context of what he's saying, he was saying that all the journalists that repeated the false Trump-Russia hoax should be held accountable. Which I think they should be held accountable socially, but I don't obviously agree that they should be held accountable by the government. But that is the same policy that liberals support. Now they pretend they are principally against it. There's another contradiction of theirs. Is
that a correct quotation, Mr. Patel?
Senator, that's a partial quotation.
But it's correct.
In part.
Regarding his publication of his enemies list, Mr. Patel proclaimed, "The manhunt starts tomorrow," and reposted a video depicting him taking a chainsaw to his political enemies. Is that you, Kash Patel, reposting that at the top of that page?
Senator, I had nothing to do with the creation of that
Is that
meme,
you reposting it was my question.
and that's me at the top.
Him at the top. Republicans seemed much friendlier to Patel, signaling he may have the votes to be confirmed. Of course, Republicans have a majority in the Senate, turning to another nominee whose confirmation might be less certain. That is Tulsi Gabbard, former Democratic Congresswoman picked by Trump to be the next director of national intelligence. Just a single Republican no vote on this committee could derail her. There were multiple Republicans who at least were willing to ask questions, particularly on her long-running and vocal support for Edward Snowden.
So was Edward Snowden a traitor?
Senator, my heart is with my commitment to our Constitution and our nation's security.
Was he a traitor at the time when he took America's secrets, released them in public, and then ran to China and became a Russian citizen?
Senator, I'm focused on the future and how we can prevent something like this from happening again.
Big shout out to Russia for caring about human rights, by the way. Isn't it disgusting that, and this is an attack that Obama created. They said that Edward Snowden is a traitor because he is now living in Russia and is a Russian citizen now. That's because they trapped him in Russia and threatened to arrest him if he came back. So Russia, being the fan of human rights and journalism that they are, they decided to take him in. And now they use that to attack them, to attack Edward Snowden. It's unbelievable how evil these people are. These are the people that think they have the moral high ground over MAGA. And you guys saw earlier before, for people just watching, I roasted MAGA at the beginning of the stream. But you guys know our opinion. We are disposed, both parties, as the clowns that they are, because I can destroy MAGA with no effort. Meanwhile, this is the best attack lines that Democrats have. They have no effective resistance against Donald Trump. Oh, let's hopefully the video get started.
If confirmed, would you support
Oh, you see, that's my internet being shaky.
or recommend a pardon or any kind of clemency for Edward Snowden?
I think it would befit you and be helpful to the way you are perceived by members of the intelligence.
So this doesn't make anyone uncomfortable how both Republicans, because they're like the only putbacks Republicans were giving Tulsi. This doesn't make you guys uncomfortable that the Uniparty wants to make it out of bounds to discuss the criminality. Edward Snowden exposed the crimes of the U.S. government being perpetrated on the American people. And now they are making that a red line. And I don't want anyone to get me wrong. I am, as always, deeply unimpressed by Tulsi Gabbard, who shows exactly why you should never organize or trust anyone in two-party duopoly. Because in her pursuit of power, Tulsi Gabbard agrees with the ruling class that intelligence agencies should have the right to spy on you. That's what she said, and that's how she gained confirmation votes by Republicans, by backtracking on her previous position. That is one of the most dishonorable things, the most unpatriotic things you can do, is backtrack on your principles, willing to cover up for the crimes of the ruling class in order to get and maintain power? Even if you're on the right, how does that not immediately turn you off of Tulsi Gabbard and Donald Trump that's apparently A-okay with spying on Americans? You guys see how this attack line should be devastating towards MAGA? But Democrats can't attack them on it because they agree with them. The same way I destroy MAGA and I expose these fools on X all the time because I expose their free speech hypocrisy. And then they sound like fucking Cenk Uygur. They sound like liberals when they're like, oh, well, I had no other choice. I have no other truth. Biden would be worse. They're saying the same lesser two evil shit because they can't even defend it to me. You guys say you support free speech, but you 100% okay with Donald Trump signing anti-Semitic, combating anti-Semitic bills. You have Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson that look like the dipshits. Like I told you guys they were. Because they told people to support Donald Trump as a free speech warrior. Now Donald Trump is implementing a giant free speech crackdown. As Tucker Carlson calls out the spying of the intelligence agencies, Tucker Carlson is also friends with Donald Trump. He supports Donald Trump, who supports spying on Americans. Do you guys understand the MAGA grift now? And why these people are deeply unimpressive to me? And why I will never suck up to them to get on their goddamn shows because they're pieces of shit who actually don't give a fuck about the working class? They just want power, access to Trump, even though Trump is governed in a way that they completely oppose. Let's watch a little more of this.
Community, if you would at least acknowledge that the greatest whistleblower in American history, so-called, harmed national security by breaking the laws of the land around our intel authorities. So thank you for being here.
Josh Rogin is the lead global security analyst at the Washington Post for intelligence. Joins me now to discuss. Listen, the questions.
Well, let me talk about how Washington Post works closely with the intelligence agencies. And people want to say that China and Russia and other countries have state media. There's nothing more corrupt than the media apparatus that we have in the United States, where they are tied to the hip with the intelligence agencies. Now this jackoff from the Washington Post is going to defend the illegal behavior of the intelligence agencies because that is what every single corporate journalist works for. Which is why my politics shocks the consciousness of mainstream America, because independent media is not tied to the hip, at least Black radical independent media, because there are a lot of CIA boutique left media out there that want you to think Assad should be overthrown, that Hamas is evil. But the reason why my politics shock the consciousness of the nation, because Americans are not even used to getting information that's not spoon-fed to them by the intelligence agencies. They hear the opinions of a young Black Marxist and their mind is blown. There's so many liberals that preemptively blocked me because they just couldn't even handle seeing my politics. You know what I mean? I'm going to show you guys this guy's opinion and we can move on. If the video worked, god damn it.
Regarding Tulsi Gabbard are numerous, because it's not just Edward Snowden, who she has defended in the past. She visited Bashar al-Assad, said that Syria was not an enemy of the American people. And she also often echoed Putin's justification for invading Ukraine. I want to play an exchange when she was asked about that by Senator Jerry Moran, a Republican. Get your thoughts on the other side.
I want to make certain that in no way does Russia get a pass in either your mind or your heart, or in any policy recommendation you would make or not make.
See, this is what I tell people, don't get twisted. This is a Republican. Republicans have Russia derangement syndrome too. The Republicans who speak out against the NATO proxy war is far in between. They're the minority. The Matt Gaetz and them, they were the minority in the Republican caucus. Majority of them agree with Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham in supporting the NATO war, and this is one of them.
Senator, I'm offended by the question because my sole focus, commitment, and responsibility is about our own nation, our own security, and the interests of the American people.
She didn't answer the question. She didn't say, quite simply, yes, Russia invaded Ukraine. What does this mean for the kind of advice she would give President Trump if she were to be confirmed for this position?
Maybe, like, you guys see how and I'm not even positive that Tulsi would do this, but you guys see how the idea of someone suggesting to the president that we should seek peace and we should not engage in war. You guys see how horrifying CNN finds that? You see how horrifying they find the idea of peace? Once again, who are Democrats? Who is CNN? Who are they appealing to? Who does this politics appeal to? I'm legitimately confused. Obviously, there are people out there, but there's no way you guys can believe you're going to form a winning coalition in the modern politic era with this batshit crazy neocon view of the world, which is standard among Democrats. This is why this guy, this segment here is the representation of how unhinged every single Senate Democrat was during the hearings this week. So how the hell are Democrats possibly going to recover for their historic unpopularity, which I'm going to explain here very soon. But let's continue the clip. If I can.
Right. Well, Tulsi Gabbard is a unique nominee because she's got about 20 years of public statements on all of these foreign policy issues in her record. So it wasn't very likely that she was going to reverse herself on all of them at this committee hearing today. She did reverse herself on the issue of foreign surveillance, something called Section 702. She did say that Edward Snowden broke the law, but she wouldn't say he was a traitor. And she did say that Putin started the war in Ukraine, although she wouldn't back off her contention that the U.S.
You guys see why it's too easy for me to destroy these people intellectually? They don't even believe in facts. They believe in lore. In order to achieve power in America, you must believe in the lore and the stories and the fairy tales that the ruling class tell you. You must believe that Russia is the most evil state in the world. You must believe that we must fight China for Taiwan. You must believe the intelligence agencies have the right. These are extremely unpopular beliefs, but they present them as, oh, this is what people have to believe to be a good American citizen. Once again, who exactly is this for? And you guys noticed throughout this entire segment, they never go into the details of what Tulsi pushed back on the ruling class in Syria over. So we was illegally arming Al-Qaeda and terrorist units in Syria in direct violation of the Leahy's Law. So this is another example of how the Democratic Party and their media messengers is trying to sell the idea that you calling out the crimes of our government, the foreign policy missteps. Let's say you don't even care about morality. You just say, oh man, I think this is a foreign policy mistake that we are making. Because Tulsi is an imperialist. She believes in upholding the U.S. empire in Israel. So even if you support the empire and you disagree with their strategy, hey man, I don't think we should be funding terrorists in Syria. We should find other ways to support Israel. They would say you're a traitor. How do people, and I don't buy into the lesser evil argument, period, but how do people think that Democrats are better than Republicans? And Q, my friend, and people ask me, like, why am I unimpressed by Hassan Piker? Because if you watch every single thing Hassan Piker do, his assumption from the beginning is that Democrats are better than Republicans. The interview he did with Bernie Sanders was based on the premise that we got to help you guys win because you're better than Republicans. How can anyone who considers himself an imperialist, a friend of the working class, a socialist, how can anyone even present that as a framework in which you discuss the news? For all the people wondering why I'm deeply unimpressed, not only because he launched smear attacks against us, it's because he's obviously a product of by the Democratic Party to dumb down what it means to be a socialist. So when it views these people as the good guys. Maybe we went pretty far in the video, but let's watch a little bit more because this guy's the worst here. Man, I think
we're responsible for Putin starting the war. So
I might move to my other clip. Pretty much this guy gonna continue to repeat bullshit. Let's see if I can get the other clip. Where I need to call my internet provider ASAP. Hopefully we get this to work. This is a video of Tulsi. Let's see if we can get it to work.
When Russia was denying us use of chemical weapons, they accused the U.S. of supporting terrorists. This is a line that Putin used frequently during the Syrian civil war as he supported Assad. Syrian officials made similar comments. They did it repeatedly. They did it in public. They did it at the United Nations. In 2016, you gave an interview in which you said, and this is a quote, "The U.S. is providing direct and indirect support to terrorist groups in order to overthrow the Syrian government." And in 2019, on the Democratic presidential debate stage, you said of President Trump, this is a quote, "This current president is continuing to betray us. We were supposed to be going after al-Qaeda, but over years now, not only have we not gone after al-Qaeda, our president is supporting al-Qaeda."
Are you guys trying to make Tulsi popular? This is what the Democrats, this is what you guys are going after Tulsi for? Because she, as someone who supports the empire, her position is we shouldn't be funding terrorist cells like Al Qaeda. So you want her to walk that back? Now, actually, I don't know if this guy's a Republican or not. Let me know in the chat. I actually don't know who this fucking guy is. I actually don't know if he's a Republican or Democrat. I'm scared to close the video. Mark Kelly. I think he's a Democrat, right? Yeah, United States Standard. What fucking party is he? Yeah, he a Democrat. Yeah, this is a Democrat fucker. And this Democrat, and this is their strategy to counter Donald Trump. So let's walk through this, my friends. Their strategy to counter Trump and his cabinet is to defend funding terrorist cells in Syria. Bro, we're about to see a generational wipeout the level of Ronald Reagan. It continue, my friends. As much as I've been saying, I still think it's possible that Donald Trump may swing the pendulum back to the Democratic Party. Man, the Democratic opposition is the most pathetic I have ever seen. That's your guys' argument. The argument you're presenting in front of the American people is that Donald Trump and his cabinet is evil because they spoke out against you guys funding terrorists. You think Donald Trump and his cabinet is evil because they defended someone who exposed government corruption. I hope you guys are ready to see that red hat for a very fucking long time, man. This is unbelievable.
So I'm interested to hear, what was your goal in saying these things? And did you consider, before saying them, the motives of Iran and Russia, what their motives might have been before making these claims?
Senator, as someone who...
So essentially, Mark Kelly was like, have you ever considered that we funded terrorists to counter Iran and Russia? Who does this appeal to? He like, hey man, the position of the Democratic Party is it's okay, we fund terrorists and we do it to oppose Russia and Iran. Who is this for?
Enlisted in the military specifically because of Al-Qaeda's terrorist attack on 9/11 and committing myself and my life to doing what I could to defeat these terrorists. It was shocking and a betrayal to me and every person who was killed on 9/11, their families and my brothers and sisters in uniform. When as a member of Congress, I learned about President Obama's dual programs that he had begun really to overthrow the regime of Syria, and being willing to, through the CIA's Timber Sycamore program that has now been made public, of working with and arming and equipping Al-Qaeda in an effort to overthrow that regime, starting yet another regime change war in the Middle East. DoD train and equip program, again, begun under President Obama, is widely been known, looked at and studied, that ultimately resulted in over $500 million being used to train who they called moderate rebels, but were actually fighters working with and aligned with Al-Qaeda's affiliate on the ground in Syria, all to move forward with their regime change and not acknowledging what was obvious at the time and what has unfortunately borne true, which was that a regime change war in Syria, much like the regime change wars in Iraq, the toppling of Gaddafi and Mubarak, while these are all dictators, would likely result in the rise of Islamist extremists like Al-Qaeda taking power. I shed no tears for the fall of the Assad regime, but today we have an Islamist extremist who is now in charge of Syria, as I said, who danced on the streets to celebrate the 9/11 attack, who ruled over Idlib with an Islamist extremist governance, and who has already begun to persecute and kill and arrest religious minorities like Christians in Syria.
I understand.
Why that should be acceptable to anyone is beyond me.
It shouldn't
is
be.
certainly
And I
not in our
understand,
interests.
This is Mark Kelly realizing that he just got fucking cooked on live television. He got absolutely cooked. Not only, Mark Kelly, did you get cooked by Tulsi Gabbard in front of your colleagues in front of the world because of your stupidity. Tulsi Gabbard just explained the crimes of the United States empire and Barack Obama in Syria. We now have the crimes of Obama in Syria on record because Democrats are dipshits who don't even understand what's going on in Syria. Because that's the only way you can explain why you have set her up with such a slam dunk. Tulsi, someone who I could destroy just as easy as I destroyed Ro Khanna, once I pressed her on Zionism and her flip-flopping. But here's Democrats making Tulsi Gabbard look like a fucking god. She looks incredible, and she looked incredible this entire hearing. Not because I'm impressed by Tulsi, it's because Democrats have no effective line of attacks against not only Tulsi Gabbard, but Donald Trump. So we're going to see this for the next 4 years as we expose the corruption and the hypocrisy of MAGA. In the mainstream, you're going to have liberals getting fucking cooked by MAGA for years because of their incompetence. And that leads directly to this. Why the Democrats are screwed. When have you guys ever seen anything like this? Oh yeah, let me play the rest of it. I saw someone get y'all. Let me play the rest of it. Almost didn't finish it. Let me play the rest of this clip. Now I'm gonna get to Democrats' unpopularity.
Kill and arrest religious minorities like Christians in Syria.
I understand.
Why that should be acceptable to anyone is beyond me.
It shouldn't
is
be.
certainly
And I
not in our
understand, and
interests.
I appreciate your answer and thank you.
That's a guy who realized he just got cooked. My friend, he got cooked. You wasn't coming with that soft energy before. Where was that energy before, Mark Kelly? You just got cooked.
My concern has to do with the tendency to repeat Russian and Syrian, and even in some cases, I think we'll get into in the closed session, Iranian information, and to discount what comes from our intelligence community.
Senator, every American deserves to know that people in our own government were providing support to our sworn enemy, Al-Qaeda. That should not be acceptable by anyone.
Thank you.
This is a party that is completely cooked. Democrats are defending the idea of having corrupt and evil government just to stick it to Russia. Who does this appeal to? Who does this rabid anti-Russia, anti-Iranian racism appeal to? On defending government corruption because your brain's so broken by Putin? Which, once again, seamlessly go to the last segment of the day. It shows the massive unpopularity of the Democratic Party. I've never seen a poll like this. Democratic Party is minus 26. And to me, that's shocking to see. 31%. 31% of Americans see Democrats defending government corruption in order to defeat Russia. And they're like, we okay with that. We're okay with calling people traitors because they expose the crimes of intelligence agencies. We're okay with genocide. But this is some shit you're not recovering from. You're not recovering from this shit unless you have a legendary comeback led by a young, energized Democratic Party, the life that no one ever seen before. Meanwhile, you want to know who Democrats are leaning to? John Fetterman. Not only they lean to John Fetterman, you have polls. Let's see if I can find it. I didn't have it saved. You have polls that show that Kamala Harris is leading among Democratic challengers. Let's see if I can find it now. I wish I saved this. Oh, I think this is it. Yeah, I just not thought about this. Look at this. This is the deep bench. People thought I was clowning. Remember when I said that Donald Trump may lead to a President Pete Buttigieg? I told you guys, Pete Buttigieg is a superstar among the Russia folks, among the pro-genocide crowd, among the broken brain shit libs. I'm gonna punch my computer off. But Democrats are gonna do it again. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna try to get a microphone. I know, guys. I know. I just had to pay a shit ton of money to move. So if you guys want to see me get some new equipment, you can support the Patreon too. But after seeing Kamala Harris lose in historic fashion, the first Democrat to lose the popular vote, 1/3 of Democrats want to do it again. And just to illustrate how broken brains Democrats are, and to highlight how small their bench is, Democrats' bench is so small that Stephen A. Smith, I already see people in the chat cracking up. You guys got to it before I did. The Democrats are completely fried, dude. Stephen A. Smith at 2%. Gavin Newsom, Buttigieg 9, AOC 6. AOC is hated by the left now. She's never going to live down that Biden working tirelessly for a ceasefire. She still haven't had an explanation for that. Like, on X, I remember the days when it was unpopular to go after AOC. I used to go after AOC, and there was a wave of Bernie people. That when Bernie still have a crowd, wave of Bernie people go after you. Now, bro, you say anything about AOC, you getting 1K likes. You know what I mean? Like, now everyone know AOC is full of shit. I see boutique leftist shit libs that even DSA libs. Oh, we don't fuck with the AOC like that. So this is the future of the Democratic Party, guys. This is the deep bench where they're going to pull off this historic comeback. And you have the Democratic Party that is intent on running Kamala Harris again. You want to know why? And I saw this live yesterday. I couldn't wait to cover this shit. Save it for last. I saw the DNC forum. I saw Bernie's old campaign manager, all the DNC candidates. They had a lot of neolibs on there. Marianne Williamson was on there. All these people want to be DNC chair, which was exactly why I told you guys Marianne was just a Democrat. Remember all people trying to tell us Marianne wasn't a Democrat? Now she's trying to be on. I saw this live, dude. Where they asked the candidates, do you believe Kamala Harris lost because of racism and misogyny? So you're going to see how Democrats still haven't learned a goddamn thing.
Round. So I'm going to I have a show of hands. How many of you believe that racism and misogyny played a role in Vice President Harris's defeat? Okay.
Every single one of them. Even Fox Secure, he was representing the Bernie wing. Like Marianne Wilson and him was clearly like the Bernie representatives. Even the progressives, the position of Marianne Wilson in Fox, Bernie Sanders' campaign manager, wasn't they lost because they supported a genocide. The position of progressives is that Kamala Harris lost only because of racism and misogyny. And these are the people that are currently in the running to be the next DNC chair. Meanwhile, they have no idea why their team lost. Democrats are absolutely cooked
in this round. So I'm going to, I have a show of hands. How many of you believe that racism and misogyny played a role in Vice President Harris's defeat? Okay. So that's good. You all passed. In this,
you all passed. This is a party that is completely cooked. And this is what I think so many of these segments and throughout this entire panel, I'll watch it for a bit. None of them ever talk about Gaza as one of the reasons why Democrats are cooked. No one discussing these exit polls. There's a new poll that showed that Gaza was the top issue for the people who voted for Biden 2020. So the people who voted for Biden 2020 and did not vote for Kamala Harris, they said the top reason, even more than the economy, and the economy is usually a dominant issue, even more than the economy, Kamala Harris lost votes because she refused to rebuke her AIPAC handler husband and genocide Joe Biden. So if Democrats can't even acknowledge this, and trust me, they are not, to them, the reason why they lost is because of racism and misogyny. And now they're focusing on calling people who oppose NSA spying traitors. Now they are calling you a traitor if you don't support funding terrorist cells in the Middle East. And now they're avoiding talking about the elephant in the room, how the Democratic Party was the party who destroyed Gaza. All the liberal white women who was wishing death upon Palestinians because of this. After Trump was elected, there was a ceasefire, and right now, Hamas is literally holding military celebrations, their military marches and celebrations in Gaza that never happened under a Democrat. That's just the objective reality. And because of the genocide in Gaza, the entirety, for the people who couldn't see it, for us it was obvious. But the house of cards of morality that the Democratic Party was pretending they was on completely crumbled, and they are never going to recover. And I know some people wondering why there's some people wondering why I was watching the DNC event. That's because honestly, guys, I was curious to see because I turned it on at the point where they was talking about reflection on why they lost, and everyone on that panel, except Marianne Williamson, to be fair, Marianne Williamson and the other Bernie guy, they said the reason why Democrats lost was because they didn't pursue progressive policy. They did not attack Biden in the process, but they did say Democrats are too far right, to their credit. Meanwhile, every other answer was essentially, hey man, our policies are great, we just have a messaging problem, and Americans are racist as fuck. Americans are racist as fuck, and they're stupid as fuck. They keep being tricked by misinformation because the fucking workers are so fucking stupid. Obviously, there's no way I'm covering that on RBN, but it was very entertaining to watch the copium. You guys know I'm a political nerd, so it was very entertaining to watch the copium for a little bit. With that said, I think I covered everything I had time for today. We're 1 hour in. Glad we was able to make this whole episode, no issues. My internet, I had a big move, so that's why I haven't been live as often. Trying to get settled in here. We did have a lot of banger shows over the last month or so. We had an RBN roundtable yesterday. Make sure you guys check that out. And once again, stay tuned. I got some good news regarding Rome, hopefully here soon. I don't want to leak anything before we're ready to share it, but I think we got good news. Either way, if you want to support our channel, please check out the link in Patreon. I was still sending Rome money. You know what I mean? I was still, even though he was on the channel, I still was making sure we send him money to make sure his kids was okay. That's where the Patreon come from. The Patreon is for me making sure our members are taken care of for. Even though Rome was away, I still want to make sure he was taken care of on Patreon. So that's the best way to show support, guys. So hopefully I can get at least 50 pledges for only $3 each. Like we can get that, man, we'd be good. Only $3 each. That'll help our channel. That'll help me get better internet and will help alleviate some stress when I'm after this stressful move. You know what I mean? So I can't wait to tell you the story with Rome, but I'm gonna wait. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm very excited, just say that. So thank you guys for watching and listening. I appreciate you guys. Have a good rest of your weekend. Peace out, y'all.